How about this? Is this better? Is this better? It should be. Now I see the mic going at least. I'll just wait until somebody comments that I am, in fact, have sound. I think I should, because I think I see the sound starting to fire. So I'm going to just kind of repeat what I said beforehand. Number one is I'm going to be at the NHL Live Final this coming weekend, so I won't be around all too much. The NHL Live Final, of course, being played out in the NHL capital of the world, that being Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I'm going to be doing that. I don't know if I'll have time to put my UFC preview up. I'm going to try my best to get it done today. And you can root me luck in the hockey. So for golf this week, what I was saying is that it's very different than it was last week. Last week we had Rory and Scheffler and Xander and all the top players in the world battling it out. And now we have the opposite. We have, well, when we started off with pricing, we had Griffin, Bridgman, and Scott near the top of the list, which was already kind of a strange looking slate. But now, I mean, even those guys are out. So I'm very curious to see what's going to become of this with nobody above 10K. I'm curious if we're going to get a whole bunch of chalk near the top, because you'll be able to get the top projected guys in. I'm guessing that that's what ends up happening, but rather than me guess at what's happening, we'll just kind of just run some builds and see what happens. Okay, so in order, the first thing I want to do is I want to cheat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my projections first, and if James gets here, we'll compare what I'm getting to what Paydirt is getting. And just again, for those who have not seen this sheet before, this is my fantasy point projections, my points per dollar, and this column is Sheet's value score, is kind of my own take on. A lot of the websites have kind of like blends of point per dollar plus upside plus whatever, trying to reduce it to like one number. I remember Roto-Grinders had RG value. There were a couple like that. And this has always been my kind of secret formula to kind of reduce everything to one number here. So that's what my default rating here is, this Sheet's value score. And then you have my projected ownership over here, which has, by the way, been just extraordinarily good, I'll have to say. I don't want to really get into how good, because then people are going to ask me to post it every week, which I'm just not doing for a lot of reasons. Number one, nonetheless. So the first thing I want to do is let's just gaze at this for a second and see what you would imagine are going to be good plays. And this is going to be based on my projections. And the first thing that I see is that you have Rico Hoey at 7,600, who's showing up all the way near the top of these value scores. Very, very strong when this happens. And then you have a couple of others near the top. So Garrick Higo, 7,300. And then you have Valimaki also. And what makes these extra good is their ownership. Now, Hoey, I have him projected at 12, which, pretty fair, for a $7,600 guy. But Garrick Higo at 7%, I mean, if this is good, this is a very strong play. So I'd be very interested to see what I end up actually getting of them. And then, again, what I like to do is I like to see like what low owned plays are showing up near the top of my value range, and that is John Perry, I think this is S.E. Kim. Now, it's no surprise that the top value guys are also going to be the top owned. Gerard, Højgaard, and Lowry. I mentioned earlier that because of the way pricing happened and losing those top guys, it's going to be pretty easy, I think, to get the top projected guys in. So their ownership is going to reflect that. I mean, this might even end up being higher. I'm not sure. But so Gerard, Højgaard, Lowry, all very, very strong plays. But I think you can filter in these Hoeys and Higos and guys like this to make it work. Now, you'll also see these 8Ks like McGreevy and Meisner. They're going to show up as very, very strong model values. And as a result, the way pricing works, I think they're going to show up in a lot of lineups. So Greavy, I have him at 18% projected ownership, and then I have Meisner at 14%. So, and then you have Thor Bjornsson down here at 21%. So, And then Højgaard, one of the other top salary guys at 20%. So if I were going to cheat, okay, and just say, I don't want to use SaberSim, I don't want to use an optimizer, I don't want to use anything, but I have some kind of faith in my projections, I'd like to try to cheat and see what would happen if I just tried to get the top 6 guys in. Like, can I afford that? The answer is probably no. But what I like to do is kind of like scroll down here, and I go 2 through 7. I see 52,800 some, which doesn't quite get there. So I can't quite play the top guys because that's going to be 2,800 over. But what I could do is check this out. So if I played Higo instead of, say, Lowry, then I almost get there, right? Then I can almost play the top value guys without even doing any more work. Okay. And then the other thing I could do, considering that's not going to quite get me there, that's going to get me, 2,600 more? Then maybe I'll play, instead of Højgaard up here, maybe I will play, actually that doesn't, Thor Bjornsson at 9,200. Okay, save the extra 200 there. So you could totally do this if you want to just go with a set of projections and just go in full on cheat mode. Okay. And just to kind of show you what that would look like. I don't mind showing like the cheat line up here. So it would be Gerard, which Højgaard? Nikolai Højgaard. And then we could do Lowry, right? And then, no, we couldn't. We have to go, sorry. Hoey. We couldn't do them all, right? Oh, I forgot. So this one, 2 through 7, 50. We got to 2,800. So we actually have to play Higo instead of Lowry. So we're not playing Lowry. Then we played Higo here. And then, what did I say, Valimaki? So we have to take 800 off. So either Højgaard, Thor Bjornsson, Gerard for another cheapo. Maybe I definitely want to play Hoey and Higo. How about instead of Højgaard, we played like Meisner or something like that? Or Thor Bjornsson for Meisner, something like that. So the point is that you could play like a big kind of cashy type lineup with my projections. But remember, Higo is going to be low owned. And if you go down to Perry or Kim, you're getting more low owned guys. So you can kind of do it this way. All right. Next thing I want to do is look at this from a point per dollar perspective. And then I'm going to look at actual builds that we made. First, points per dollar. First of all, in golf, whenever you go by points per dollar, you almost always get the cheapos as the top rated point per dollar plays. And that's pretty much across all sports. But just to see, again, we're back to Sun Young Kim, Higo, Hoey. These are, in my opinion, the top 3 values according to my models and projections. On the other hand, if you just wanted to look at just fantasy points, as I mentioned before, Gerard, Lowry, Højgaard, and then if you want to get any kind of break point, you're going to see a 3-point projection jump between Mitchell and McGreevy. The one that's interesting is Rasmus, because Rasmus, I have him projected pretty low relative to his price, so maybe maybe I'll get very, very little of him. So I always like to do this before I even run anything, to give myself a thought of what I would end up getting. So how do I want to run these? Well, let's first, I ran stuff on SaberSim, okay? And all I did was I just uploaded my projections and I ran them. And then what I did was I used my own ownership as the contest fields. And then I'll just kind of show you what I ended up getting. I'll do it again, why not? But this is not particularly earth-shattering, right? Gerard, Højgaard, Lowry, McGreevy stepped up a little bit, Meisner a little bit. Hoey, I'm not getting as much Higo as I thought, though. Look at that. Where'd all my Higo go? Only 8% Higo. That is very interesting. Let me do another one just for the hell of it. And this is using Saber Sim. I'm going to use Ace Mind also, just to kind of show what the difference would be. So let's see if we can do this. We're going to use my own ownerships. Test, I guess. We'll only do 8,000 lineups.
8,000 lineups.
Oh, hey, what's going on? Didn't even see you.
Yeah, I just came in.
Oh, okay. Well, before we do that, I mean, I was just going through my projections and kind of cheating and seeing what I was expecting to get. While this is running, what does Pater what does Pater look like relative to mine? So I'll show you what I was getting. It was just up here before. Where did it go? Just had it. It was up here literally the whole time, and now it's gone. There it is. So first of all, are you getting? I mean, again, I looked at your projections for a minute, and as usual, you're very much in favor of the top guys. You have a big gaps between, as usual, between the top guys. And you also have a big old. If I'm reading this right, you also have a big old gap between Gerard and the other guys. I see your median is 1-1, and then Lowry 92, and then another gap of 10 before everything starts to normalize a little bit. Your model's really, and you guys have liked Gerard for a while now.
Right? He's good.
Yeah,
he's good.
He's very. Would you say he's good? Yeah, he's very good.
He's good. So I mean, look, this is going to be a weird tournament because we had those guys drop out right after pricing was brought in. So I think this is going to be a weird one. I think the betting markets will likely be a little bit inefficient right now. Let's see who's the favorite right now.
It's the right guy. I mean, it's the right guy.
It's Gerard at plus 1,600 and then Lowry plus 1,600. So those two guys, they're going to be the tops. Gerard is just a little bit better than Lowry is at least right now. So he's going to be a little bit above. But I mean, I'm not going to fault anybody for projecting them basically right next to each other. I don't have, those guys should be the tops. The only question is how much confidence do you have in either one of them? And the Pater models have a lot more confidence than Gerard than the rest of the industry, I think. It's going to be one of those tournaments where, like I said, I think it was a couple weeks ago, if the favorite is plus 1,400, plus 1,500, plus 1,600, I just want to spread out exposures. And I think I saw in your runs you're getting 35% exposure cap on Gerard or something like that. I think that's about right. I wouldn't want to be pressing too hard on anybody in this one.
Well, what's interesting is that it addresses the question, which I don't know, you had it. No, you didn't have somebody. Well, everybody always has this about. And we talked about this last week about golf. That you really it's unlikely that you'd ever want a huge percent of a guy. And my response was, well, you know what? If that's the case, then my projections and process will do that for me anyway. And this week's a good example of that. You know what I mean? Because of the way these results are probably doomed to distribute this week, you really don't want to have a huge amount of anybody, Right. The other thing that I commented on again, and I was just curious to see where it would turn out, is because of there's all the top guys are under 10K, and you can get to them.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that my ownerships and almost all ownerships might end up being too low. I currently have 32% projected for Gerard.
Yeah.
I have this fear that it ends up higher. All of them, just because again, when the top guy is rated is only 9,700.
Yeah.
I mean, you just get to them just so much easier, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I run optimals right now, I'm getting 96% Gerard in optimals and 78%. And then 64% Hodgeguard. So it wouldn't surprise me if those three guys end up in the 35 and 40% range. Everyone's going to have those dudes.
Which Højgaard are you getting the most of? The
Nicholas Højgaard?
Yeah.
Nikolai, whatever.
Yeah. So what I want to do is just for fun is I got to find the right one here. I always I know there's a way to make these all visible at the same time, these columns. Okay. All right, so let me just is this is the one I want to sort by. Yeah, so let me sort by this. I just want to take the top like 1,000 like the I created, and then we're going to upload those into the portfolio manager and see what it does for me, specifically with the lottery.
Yeah.
Let's see. So again, if you're going to do this, you gotta clean it up. If you use in fact Sabersim, you got to clean it up a little bit, and then save these. I already did the one before, but just again to flex that we can do this on the fly.
Yeah, for sure.
Hater live portfolio manager, I guess. Okay. All right, so let's go into the PayDirt portfolio manager.
There you go.
We're already here in golf. We can look in order. One, we'll upload the pricing models. I mean the pricing. Then we will upload from my portfolio that I just created, which should be, I guess this will show up in a minute. Okay.
There you go.
And then let's see if this works. Put my own in here. Where did I save this? I think I saved it. No, I saved it in this, in a different place. That would be, where is portfolio manager? I have it somewhere. 1 second, I have it. I just forgot where I saved it. Portfolio, here it is, PayDirt portfolio. Okay. All right, so let's see if this all works. Manage portfolio. And it looks like we're in good shape, huh? All right.
There you go.
Okay. So now it's currently ranking them based on the way I rank them, right?
Correct.
All right. So I'm just curious, like the way I rank them, let's see what my exposure is here. So let's see analyze players. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yep.
All right. So let's see. Analyze players. Ooh. Okay. So it looks like exposure 46%, but this is 1,000 lineups I put in.
Yeah.
So let's not do that. You want to just, how do we select the top 150? See what I'm trying to accomplish here, right? I want to see.
Yeah. Okay. So go up a little bit.
How do I do on this top 150?
Yeah. Let me think about that for a second because you don't have them sorted by median. I would just back out of this and just delete from 151 out and then re-upload.
Yeah, but the thing is that I want to replace them though with better ones. So how about this? How about we start with this, and let's download this portfolio just like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we see like the all of the PayDirt rating systems. Okay. So again, what I sometimes would do. Now, do you want me to re-rate these by median somehow and put them in, or?
If you want to, I mean, these are sorted by your ROI metric right now. So if you want to keep them in this, then I think
I want to keep it like this, but I love this diversity idea here. Okay, so what if one thing you could do again is just data filter by diversity, right? So if I did this again, just for the people who are uninitiated, if I'm sorting all this by one, by the highest one, that means that these I guess it means that these 150, should I choose to use them, are going to look the least like each other.
Correct.
Of all of them, right?
Yep, correct.
Okay. So that is one thing I could do as an alternative to, say, some of the portfolio manager tools that Sabersim kind of throws out there. So that's one thing I could do.
Yeah.
Here's another question. I'm playing 150 in the sand trap, but I'm also playing 150 in the drive the green.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to play the same. I want to play 300 different lineups.
Mm-hmm.
How now again, what I sometimes do honestly right nowadays is I'll just run this through ChatGPT and say, hey, listen, just create 2 sets of 150 that look balanced enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out of the top 300. Is there any way? By the way, check out all the salary being left on the table, huh?
Yeah, man. It makes sense.
Let's go, huh?
Well, especially when it comes to diversity. I mean, like, think about it. The lineups that you have that are less diverse are going to have the highest owned players. And since the ownership's relatively spread out,
I guess
it's easy to get to dudes. Like, the way to have different lineups is just going to be to leave money on the table.
Right. Now, this one is looks more normal. Like, this is rating by win percentage.
Yeah.
So these are going to be more like your optimals, right?
Yeah, these are heavily leaned into median rate.
Okay. And then I guess the most aggressive would probably be sorting by lineup edge.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing. Okay. So all of this is kind of like the real like granular way to just kind of like almost vibe it. You know, you don't know exactly what you're doing here. What if we try to use some of these tools within PayDirt here, like Stratify, for example?
Yeah.
So when we hit Stratify again, let's see if we can't get this right. So we we like to choose either between weighted own or what was there, lineup edge? That was the other one?
Diversity, weighted ownership, or finish percentile. Those are kind of the 3 that I really like to use. Finish percentile is an interesting one to stratify on because what it does is it will take your lineups from the lineup that has the highest overall finish percentile to the lowest, and it'll stratify between them. And what that means, think about like what a lineup with a really, really high finishing percentile means. It means that it's a barbell lineup, right? You're either going to finish first or last with a lineup that has a really high finishing percentile.
Okay.
Whereas lineups that have like a more middling finishing percentile, those are lineups with a better floor. You're likely to finish in like the 66th to the 33rd percentile. So I think that it's interesting to actually stratify on finishing percentile if you want to spread out the volatility across your lineups.
Well, here's what we're going to try. So these are the things that keep me young. Mm-hmm. So what was your other idea if you didn't want to use finishing percentile? What are you all? It's either that or weighted ownership
or diversity.
Well, let's pick your favorite 2. Like which 2 look the least alike, I guess.
You know what? Here's a better example. Here's a better thought exercise.
No, you don't know where I'm headed with this. So what I want to do is I want to stratify with one thing. Then I want to stratify with another thing.
Right.
Stratify with one thing. I'm going to put those 150 in the sand trap. Right. And to stratify with the other thing, I'm going to put those 150 in the drive the green. And the question before we do all this is how much overlap do you think there's going to be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're going to do it that way, I would say do finishing percentile.
And what's the other one?
And diversity. Okay. But there's a caveat here, okay? With finishing percentile, I don't want you to have the sample range 0 to 100. I want you to have the sample range 0 to 50.
All right, so let's do this. So finishing percentile, sample range 0 to 50?
Yep.
So what does that mean?
So what that means is it is going to take, instead of doing your highest finishing percentile, or I guess lowest, right? Like it could be like 0.0001, right?
Okay.
1th percentile.
It's only going to take the top 50% of the finishing percentile.
Correct. Yeah. So it is only going to take from there.
And just hit portfolio?
Yep.
Okay, so it only gave me 150?
You only asked for 150.
I did? Oh, yeah. There it is. You're right. Okay. So let's download this, right?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to take this, just like this, just as is. And then we're going to put this one directly into the into the sand trap.
Yeah.
Okay. This one will go into the sand trap, which is over here. Okay. And now we're going to go back and we are going to go into. Do I have to start over, or do I have to?
Yeah, so go up and reset your portfolio to the default.
Right here.
Yep. Because you haven't saved any of the bases.
I have to load selected base.
Yep.
That's what I'm clicking. Okay.
Yeah, so if you go through and you do filtering, like you can save base settings, so you can reset to those filters instead.
All right, so weighted own. What's my
diversity for this one, not weighted own.
Okay.
And diversity, you can do 0 to 100.
0 to 100, just like this?
Yep.
Okay, download portfolio.
Now, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, you're going to, let's see it.
That you're probably going to have 15 to 20% overlap.
So 30 lineups, you think?
Just about.
Something like that? Okay. We're going to try it. Okay. Over here and save. And enter. All right, let's see it. Ready? Upcoming classic. Let's see what we got. How many? All right. Looks like 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Only 20 lineups are duped.
Hey, yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good guess by you, sir.
So the way that finishing percentile is calculated, and the reason why I thought that would probably be around that number, if you were to do diversity in and of itself is going to say mostly here are lineups that are probably highly owned and highly projected, all the way down to lineups that are less owned and less projected, just by the nature of spreading out based on the players that are in the lineups. So based on that logic, we're probably going to have half of that be lineups that are likely to be used, and then half of that in lineups that are less likely to be used. The way the finishing percentile is calculated, you're much likely to have half of your lineups or so. I mean, it's linear, but half of your lineups are going to be lineups that are lower owned, and half of your lineups that are higher owned. So that overlap is probably going to happen somewhere in the bisection of lineups that are lower diversity and higher owned. And since half of half is, we're looking at about 33 lineups, I figured somewhere between 20 and 30 lineups would be duplicated there.
So here's, again, this is another question, kind of philosophy, and then I'm going to talk about why it's flawed, I think, in a second. Okay, yeah. So let's say, how about this logic? I run 500 lineups, sort by weighted ownership. Uh-huh. I run 500 lineups sorted by stratified, by diversity. Uh-huh. I 500 lineups sorted by win percentile. Okay. Uh-huh. And then it turns out that 150 of those lineups appear in all three screens. Uh-huh. Okay. So my 12-year-old self would say, oh my God, these have to be the best lineups if they're going to show up in all those three screens. Like if it's going to be a really good lineup by all three metrics, why is that not the case? Why shouldn't I just play those lineups?
So your 12-year-old self would technically be correct. So here's the logic behind it. If you take 3 sets, stratifying by weighted ownership, stratifying by finish percentile, and stratifying by diversity, right? And you have 1,500 lineups, and then out of those, 10% of those lineups end up being the same. You have 150 out of those 1,500 are the same. What's very likely happening there, actually, is that you ended up having 150 of those lineups that come from the highest portion of the weighted ownership lineups, aka the highest ownership lineups overall, the highest portion in terms of the least diverse lineups, because those lineups have the highest ownership, and then the portion of lineups that have the lowest finishing percentile because they have the highest ownership. So what you actually ended up doing was finding 150 of lineups that had the best ownership and likely best projection, because ownership informs projection. Now, the reason you wouldn't play those is because they're the highest owned lineups and you lack relative value. So the entire purpose of using stratification and using diversity and using different tools to get differences in your lineups, the reason why you do it is specifically so that you have a diverse portfolio.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say, is that where it ends up flawed is that now that I have, say, these 500 super lineups or these 150 super lineups that appeal on all the screens, The problem there is that I probably have to re-look at them from diversity score relative to each other, right? Because otherwise, I mean, if just because something's diverse against one set doesn't mean it's going to be diverse against another set.
So what you would actually do is you would do the 500 of each of those, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then you would combine all of them and then re-upload and then do 150 on diversity.
That's what I do with MMA. That's exactly what I do with MMA. Yep. I do multiple different screens, multiple different whatevers. I say, you know what? Let me get rid of all the dupes less than 9. Okay. Then I get rid of this, whatever I want. Then I have these 500 lineups that I consider like my super lineups. Then I say, okay, of those 500, which 150 of those actually feels like a portfolio of those? And then I go up and I just resort it all by diversity, you know, and then we rock the house. So, you know, like I say, whenever you have like a tool like this that has so many different ways to use that you don't know, you'll figure it out like the best way to use it really the day after you die. Okay, like there's no way to actually figure out the best way to use all of this. And what happens is you keep on making these new adjustments and new changes, new improvements that you don't know how to adjust the improvement to whatever. So that's what, and you know what? If it was solved, the game wouldn't be fun anymore.
Right.
So that's why I really enjoy kind of playing around like this.
I tell people all the time, the best thing you can do is just go fuck around. Yeah, I said this to somebody yesterday. Like the best thing that you can do is just go play around. Like go. What I was going to tell you to do in here was like if you want to see how each one of those different stratification functions affects your lineups, just do a stratification on all 3 of them and look at your analyzed players. Look at your combos. Like see what it gives you.
Well, let's do it right now. So this one is the one with the weighted ownership, right?
This one is diversity, I think. Right? Yeah, diversity.
So this one was done by diversity, and this one we'll have to remember, right? This actually looks quite a bit like my ownership projection, right?
Yeah, and that would make sense based on like the way that diversity works as a stratification function.
And it actually really coincides with my top rated guys as far as the way I looked at it. Almost like identically. So
you want to know a dirty little secret here?
So this is look, check this out. I mean, this is pretty freaking. It's pretty solid. You know what I mean? Like this is a representation of my ranking system.
Right. So here's a dirty little secret. When I do showdown season for NFL, the thing that I do to think, oh, I might be off on ownership is I run this and then I run diversity, and how it looks is how the field is going to look.
Yep.
That's how it goes. And so like when we look at the analyzed players down there, like we can see, remember earlier we said that we think we're a little bit low on the ownership on those main guys. That shows that we're probably a little bit low. Those guys are going to be 35%.
All right. So weighted ownership, what do we do for this range?
Weighted ownership. So I use this one for things like NBA, and what I'll do is I'll change the sample range up to.
So we don't want to use this for golf?
Not for golf, and especially not for this tournament, because a high weighted ownership stratification is going to give you a solid core. Instead, what I would do, like so like use this one, and let's just show what I mean. Move it up to 50 to 100
for what finishing percentile
for weighted ownership. For weighted ownership, do 50 to 100, just to show what it does. And what I expected to do is the 3 guys that we had like 35% or something like that on the last run. With this one, I expect to be like.
Did it work?
It did. Yeah, you have 150 there.
No, I don't know if it changed.
Yeah, it did go down.
Okay, sorry.
Oh well, now you bungled it. Now you got to reset it. Now it's only a 77.
No, I didn't. I just never hit the button before.
No, now it's a 77. Look, showing rows 1 to 77. You hit the button. Yeah.
Which one?
Go up and reset portfolio.
And just hit portfolio again here, right?
Yep. So now what we should see is your lineups more centered around those 3 players than before.
More than before.
Yep. So there you go. 66% now for Hodgegard, 58% for Gerard.
Yep. Look at Hang Toe Lee showing up a little bit more here, but yeah, okay. Yep.
So there you go. Now that's how you build around a core that is more solid. And then if you go back up and reset portfolio, then we can do on finishing percentile. And we can see how that affects things, right? And finishing percentile was 0 to 50.
Right, because he goes the other direction.
Right. And so this one, I would expect to see less of those top guys because we are expecting to have less ownership and more relative value on these lineups.
You know, pretty close, I guess. But you do see Alex Smalley come up a little bit more, Hoey come up a little bit more. What is interesting, I guess is just the nature of golf, is just this slate, like you said, it's hard to get away from these dudes. You know what I mean? Too easy to get them in, you know?
Yeah.
Which also probably means that their ownership is going to be much higher.
Yeah, I think they're going to be 35 to 40% owned each.
Right. Just for fun, let me look at, you don't have a lineup bench here, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So is it high to low or low to high? You want the highest number, right?
Yeah, you want 50 to 100 here. Remember to reset the portfolio before you run it, though.
Oh, sorry. Like this? Okay.
Yep.
I imagine this is going to be a little more kooky, but we'll see.
You would think so, but with those guys projecting as well as they do, I'm not sure.
Yeah, look at that, huh?
Yeah, so this is basically just saying to full send them.
Yeah.
And then just spread out everything else. You get like Higo, you get Pari. I mean, you get low-owned guys around there.
Well, that's only because, again, I have these guys projected higher than most. A lot of people, I think. Yeah. Yep. So what this is showing really is that this slate is probably not the, I don't know. I don't think this is the slate to go nuts fading these guys. But, on the other hand, like you said, there's no reason to just take a stand on any one of them,
No,
so
plus 1,600, that's not good odds. Just
what's
not. That? Plus 1,600 is just not good odds for anybody.
Yep.
That's usually like the 10th, 11th guy in the field. So I personally, I look at a slate like this and I just want to manage my combos. I want to use more diversity. I'm less worried about ownership. Like I just want to spread things out a little bit more. But I am going to go in and adjust ownership here. I do think that Gerard, Lowry, and Hodgegard are going to be 35 to 40% each. I'm going to guess Gerard is going to be the highest owned player at 40%.
Yeah. Where, if at all, can we run anything with specifically to see like what the pay dirt exposures would be on there? Can you do that or within pay dirt or no?
Yeah, go over to optimals.
Oh, where's that?
On that overall.
Oh, okay, right there. Okay.
Yeah, and then if you scroll down, you can see the exposure of the players in the lineups. It's right below that in player frequency. Too many scroll bars.
Right here. Oh, so you get like 96%. Okay, so like all this stuff.
Yeah.
So to this is not surprising. So you have quite a bit of Castillo, Lipsky, and Hadwin, and that makes sense to me, knowing what I know about the way you run stuff, because most of your builds are very top heavy, are very 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 top heavy and low. So this makes a lot of sense actually. And when you compare your projections of these guys to the industry, you're going to get like a lot more of these actual top guys.
Yeah.
So this is not surprising here. Okay. I guess that's pretty much all that I have. I don't really want to go through Showdown yet, just because, again, I didn't do my Showdown stuff anyway. And I don't know what the wind and all that stuff is going to be yet. But so again, for those of you who just joined us, again, I'm leaving tomorrow to the hockey capital of the world, that being Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for the live final. Bringing Mrs. Sheets, that should be fun. If I have time to do a UFC thing between now and sometime I leave, I will. Otherwise, I'm out. And as usual, I'm learning every day that I use this stuff. So, and the more that I can figure out, I'll pass on to you guys as much as possible.
Yep. And I will be here to give direction, especially since I add something new every goddamn day.
All right. Good luck, everybody.
All right. Bye.